All right, gang, so this is where we get personal. Not what's in my bank account, because, like a lot of you, not much. But no, this is where we talk about Crystal Orona. Crystal Orona is my co-host on Paranormal Perception. That's the show that organizes OC Paracon. And you hear her do her Crystal's World feature every week, where she gives you advice, does readings, and gives you some advice. But do you really know Crystal Orona? My guess is probably not. So in a moment, I'll bring her in and we'll have a little conversation where you'll get to know Crystal and her abilities and why she does what she does. And we'll prepare you for something very creepy that she's going to reveal later on this weekend. So stay right there. In a moment, I'll introduce you to Crystal Orona.
OC Paracon 2023 is sponsored by Alien Soda Company for all things out of this world. Visit aliensodacompany.shop and use coupon code PERCEPTION at checkout for 10% off your order. CoffinCode.com, makers of coffin-shaped wireless phone chargers. Lay your phone to rest. Paralink, the social networking site for paranormal enthusiasts by paranormal enthusiasts. Visit Paralink.com today. American Ghost Walks. Reserve your seat on the Hollywood Haunted Bus Tour today at AmericanGhostWalks.com. Psychic and trance medium and paranormal investigator Jade Foster. Book a reading with Jade Foster today. And AirPoint Heating and Air Conditioning. Get ready for fall and winter with their $69 furnace tune-up special. Visit AirPointHVAC.com.
Hello, so here I am again. This time, I'm going to introduce you to, if you came here over from Paranormal Perception, you hear this voice every single week. Now you get to see her. That's Crystal Orona. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Henry.
See, you recognize that voice. But for everybody else, we are really Paranormal Perception. We're the two voices that you hear every week. But every week we also take you to Crystal's world. That's where she gives you advice on the seasons. We're going into spooky season, as you know. That's what she's been doing the last few weeks. Now we're in it. It's October. But before we do any of that, if you're new, especially, and you're just learning about Crystal Orona, you're really going to learn about her on this panel, because you're not going to get to know me, but you're going to get to know about Crystal. Everything you could possibly want to know. Well, maybe everything. We won't ask you what's in your wallet or what's your criminal record. We don't care about that. What we do care about is this. Let's start at, where else? The beginning. Well, first, let me have you talk about what are the abilities that you have? How would you describe them?
Okay, remember last week when we were recording for the show and I said, that's a loaded question. It is a loaded question, but let's just get right to the bottom of it. And it's a question that I can answer for days. But I'm not going to do that to you guys. I'm just going to tell you that pretty much any of the clairs or abilities that you would think of when you are speaking with a psychic, or you want to know what they can help you with, you want to know if they're a medium, are they clairvoyant, do they hear things, do they feel things, are they empathic? I honestly can do it all, you guys. And my most humble, coming from my heart explanation, I have all the abilities. I do use all the clairs. So I can definitely see things like a movie. I get the chills, so I physically feel things. I hear things inside and outside of my head and my ears, which that's kind of a hard one to explain sometimes. And I do practice mediumship, and that's something that I've been doing since I was, I think, 2 years old, Henry.
Yeah, well, that's actually where I want to start. Like I said, that's the abilities. When did they all come to you at once, or how did you discover that you had these abilities?
Well, that's another good question and another weird answer for you guys. I'm not actually the one who discovered what my abilities, or when they peaked, or when I first started experiencing them. Other people did. Going back to, I think I was about 2 or 3, and my granny, her sister had passed away about a year or 2 before I was born. So a few years had gone by, because I was already about 2 or 3, and she would tell me, and my dad would tell me, that Granny had a portrait of her sister who had passed away in her living room. And I would tell her, like, Grandma, She said, that lady said hi. That's my friend. Who is that? And Granny was like, she didn't say hi. She did not say hi to you. And I'm like, yes, she did, Granny. I saw her. She said hi. She said she loves you and she misses you. And I was a baby. I don't remember that, but I know that my grandma and my dad wouldn't make that up. So that it goes way back to then. And if you speak with, I know you speak with a lot of other psychics and mediums, and all of you guys out there watching, you know that if you ask a psychic, well, when did you learn that about yourself, or when was your first experience, a lot of them will say, when I was really little. So I know that's true.
I think I said it on the one of the shows recently. I think the reason why that is, see what you think, is because I've always said, and a lot of guests have agreed with me on the show, when we're all young, our third eye, if you will, is open. You know, we're not jaded by life. We don't worry about taxes or jobs or school or anything. So we can, babies, they can't say it, but you know, if you ever catch a baby staring at one place for whatever reason, same with animals, it's probably why. But then as we get older, you know, as I always say, life gets in the way, and your third eye kind of closes, except for someone has your kind of abilities. So correct me if I'm wrong or if I misunderstood. Does that ability run in your family? Did your grandma have that ability, or you're the first one to show abilities in your family?
As far as I know, on that side of my family, which is my dad's side, I don't think that it runs in our family. There's a lot of stories that are creepy, you know, from our family's history and stuff, but they probably wouldn't appreciate me sharing those right now. But it's more so from my mom's side. My grandma Dora, which I'm blessed she's still alive, and you guys will hear me talk about her a lot, especially on Paranormal Wednesdays on Instagram, and hopefully on your show too as well in the future. She's still alive, and she is a magical woman. I don't even know how to describe her, but ever since I was little, she's a healer. She naturally heals people, and she is a dream interpreter and a tarot card reader. She used to do I used to see, guys, I kind of was embarrassed about this because you'll hear me say this a lot. I come from a time when it wasn't cool or popular to say that you had these kinds of experiences or abilities. People would think you were crazy, or they would be afraid to hang out with you. And my grandma used to do tarot card readings at the mall when I was a teenager. So can you imagine like being in that day that now people would be, oh, I'm cool. My grandma's the lady that does tarot readings at the mall. But that was, you know, back then. And I was a little bit embarrassed about that back then, honestly. But she'd always been really open with me and taught me a lot. And actually, what she really instilled in me since I was little and growing up as a teenager was what not to do, the things not to do, and the things not to talk to people about with this stuff. So I don't know, circling back to your question, if it like runs in our family, but I do know that my grandma Dora, who's alive still, she definitely taught me a lot, showed me a lot. I don't know if my gift came from her, because our abilities are different.
How about on your mom's side? Does anybody?
That's my mom's mom.
Or your dad's side?
On my dad's side, no, not that I know of. Like I said, you know, and I'll touch on this. I'll be really honest with you guys, because that's what I'm here for, to just speak the truth a little bit or a lot. And also growing up in a religious family, my family, you know, were Catholic and strict Catholics at times. So only until recently, which I would say only in the last like 10, maybe 5 years, I've been hearing some of my cousins or aunts and uncles will say, you know, so-and-so has that same ability as you, or so-and-so said they had those kinds of dreams or whatnot. So they're still kind of, I don't know what the word is, embarrassed, or just they're still not comfortable coming out and saying that, yeah, they are gifted or they do have these abilities.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit older than you, but we're around from that same generation where, no, it wasn't cool, it wasn't acceptable to speak about ghosts or any other stuff, and yet it is, the religion part does have something to do with it. Things change, you know, everybody talks about progresses. Well, unfortunately, when you progress when it comes to spirituality, religion especially, all of you out there, like Crystal said, she's telling the truth, so am I. You're not progressing the right way when it comes to religion. A lot of you turn your head on it, turn your back on it, well, you don't do that. Well, guess what you're doing by doing that? Exactly the same thing that you claim that the religion is doing to you. So stop it. The other thing is, don't yell at them. Don't turn your back on them. Educate them. And if they don't want to listen, they don't want to listen. It's not your job. That's the government's job. It's not your job to tell people how to think or how to act. It's your job to just let people know, hey, this is me. If you like it, great. If not, go along with it. Glad we live in these times, because there is, as I keep saying on the show, there is a lot more acceptance than there was definitely when we were kids growing up. So that has a lot to do with the way that generation approaches the unknown, the other side. But going back to that time again, to the dark times, if you want to call them that, but going back to that time, when did you, not your friends, family, when did Crystal, when did you realize that you have abilities that your friends, your classmates don't have?
I was a little bit older than 2 or 3, but not much. I was about 5 or 6, around that age. And it's the age of, what do they call them? Imaginary friends.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone has imaginary friends. Well, I had 2 imaginary friends that were my besties, and they used to come visit me every day, rain or shine, every day, these 2 girls. And they were sisters. How do I know they were sisters? They told me that they were sisters. They seemed to be a little bit older than me. I would say I thought they were about 12 or 13, like really young teenagers, and maybe they were around the same age. They appeared to be. They used to come play with me every day. They would play with my hair. They would play with my toys. And every day around sunset, they would say, we have to leave. And they would walk out the back gate of my aunt's backyard. So my mom and my aunts would always be like, come on, and I'm like, well, what about Chili? I used to call them Chili and Crispy. That's not really their names, but that's just what I called them. And I'm like, Chili and Crispy want to come too. Or the mom's like, we got to go to the store, or you got to have lunch or whatever. And I'm like, where's their food, Mom? Like, they're hungry too. That's so rude to only feed me and not them. And I just remember hearing my aunt and my mom always like, oh, she's really into her imaginary friends. I don't know if it's good because she's really attached to them, or she includes them in everything. And that is around the time when I'm like, okay, I know that these girls are real. They're not pretend. And I was a pretty smart kid. I knew what fake was and pretending. I pretend play with Barbies and things like that. And I knew that this was different. So I knew something else was going on.
Well, wait, let me interrupt. Because when you say they used to play with your hair, you could actually feel them playing with it? Would your hair move?
I think so. I mean, they used to like braid my hair and everything that I always thought of them like my older cousins, or like how the older cousins like to play with the little ones and take care of them and stuff like that. So I always thought of them like that. Well, fast forward a few months, I think around maybe a few months or a year after that, my aunt, which this used to happen at her house, she used to babysit me. My aunt tells my mom that she went into her closet to get, I don't know, a shirt or something. And when she opened up her closet, she saw 2 little girls standing in her closet. And they looked like what I described as Chili and Crispy, or who I described as Chili and Crispy. This story gets very, very interesting. You want me to finish telling it quickly?
Yeah.
Guys, this is how I know how I said I started practicing mediumship when I was really, really little. That story went on throughout the years, and my family would say, oh, remember when she used to play with those little girls and blah, 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 right? About 4 years ago, I was thinking about it. And I'm like, you know what? Now with Google and everything at our fingertips, you can find the answer to anything or any information you really want to find. And I go, you know what? I wonder if something happened to those 2 girls and I was seeing them for a reason other than that they just wanted to come be my friends. I knew, at this point now in my life, I know that they were ghosts. Yeah. So and they were, from the light. They weren't demonic or anything like that. I know that. So I looked up I searched, if any girls around that age had gone missing in this certain part of town. I'm not going to tell you guys too many details, but I'll tell you why as soon as I finish the story. But I looked up the town around, a little bit before those years that we were staying there. And sure enough, 2 girls went missing about 5 years before that. And they never, even to this day, they have never been found, and they were presumed dead from the same area. I mean, the intersection blocks away. Can I prove that it was them? Of course not. But I know in my heart that it was them, especially when I saw the picture that they had posted in the articles of them. The reason why I don't want to share what town it was or their names is because I don't really feel like I need to prove my story to anyone at the expense of what these 2 girls who never showed up, dead or alive. Their mother is still around, and she never found her daughters. I feel like I don't have any business or place broadcasting that kind of information to all of you. But if you sincerely want to know about the story, come find me on Instagram and just, let me know, and I'll be happy to tell you a little bit more about that story.
Yeah, not only that, there's also, this is the old guy talking here, but there's, true crime podcasts and true crime anything really is really, really popular right now. And I don't like them that much because of that, because of what you just said. Because to me, while the stories that they talk about, they're interesting, and okay, that happened in this part of the country, but it's like you're exploiting that person's murder or kidnap, whatever tragic event happened. You're exploiting it for internet clout, as they say, and there's just something that just does. I don't like it. I don't like that part. Those of you that are old enough, it's very Maury Povich daytime talk show, kind of very Jerry Springer, although nobody's throwing chairs kind of thing. So that for that reason, I'll listen to them, but I'm not that into like true crime. So that's another reason why, I wouldn't share those details either, because if you want to know, you can search it. But I know today, 2023, most people will want to search it because, hey, I could do a podcast about that. So there's that part also today. But sticking also with when you were your younger years in school, did anybody, whether teachers or classmates, did anybody start to notice these abilities that you have?
I think he's psychic because he always knows like the answer. He knows that there's something for me to share about this. Yes, a teacher did actually speak with my dad one day after school when I was in 1st grade, because she used to have this little giveaway. She would hide the number that she was going to write of the day or the color, and she would say, okay, whoever guesses what I wrote down wins those red cinnamon gummy bears. Remember those? I love those things. And so she would say, whoever gets the answer right, guesses it right, gets the gummy bear. And I won the gummy bear every day, you guys. She had to like start doing it different because she's like, this isn't fair to the other kids. But she did keep my dad one day when he came to pick me up from school, and she's like, I don't know what it is about your daughter, but it's kind of creeping me out. And that's a story that wasn't told to me by anyone else. Like earlier, the stories that I shared were told to me by adults, when I was a kid, that this happened. But I remember listening to that conversation of the teacher telling my dad that. And that's really what confirmed for me that there was something very different about me. And socially, I always had a lot of friends and stuff, but I think the ones that I allowed close to me, like in my inner circle, and they're still dear friends of mine to this day, are the ones that were a little bit like me or a lot like me. I was fortunate to attract a few people throughout my life that have these kinds of experiences. We just were drawn to each other for some reason.
Yeah, it seems to happen, especially today. That seems to happen with not just with this Paranormal Perception and OC Paracon, but the other show that I do, the Geek Speak show, where we talk about basically everything you find at San Diego Comic-Con. It's when you find people at conventions like that you find your tribe, your family, because you have all that in common, the movies, the comic books, all of that. Same thing here. I mean, I should say especially with the paranormal, with the like we said a minute ago, in our time, put our dentures back in, and during our time, we couldn't talk about that, especially not at work or at school, but not at work. Because if you, in the job interview, if you started to say, hey, can I ask you something? Is this building haunted? You would find there's the door right there, and we're not going to hire you. Today, it's the complete opposite. Sometimes you get hired because when you ask, is this building haunted? I've always wondered that. I'm going to hire you, and then we're going to go investigate on, after hours. That's the difference today. So yeah, there is a little bit. I don't know how. Maybe it's a psychic thing. I don't know what it is. But for the old saying, birds of a feather. We seem to find each other for some reason, especially today. The internet has a lot to do with it. Facebook groups, things like that, makes it obviously a lot easier to find people with those interests or who have experiences or those gifts. That makes it a lot easier. But in real life, IRL, it is. I'm not going to say coincidental because you know me. You're the same way. I don't believe in coincidences. Things happen for a reason. So there's a reason why we all end up in IRL, end up meeting each other and becoming the best of friends. Like Crystal, that's why she's part of Paranormal Perception now. So when you started getting older, let's get into like college age around there. When you started getting older, did the abilities, did they get stronger, stay the same, go away? Did you close them off? How were you when you started, becoming the adult that you are now?
As I started getting older, and remember, I'll reference back to teenage years, and Grandma Dora's doing tarot card readings at the mall, and I was like, kind of cringe, right, back then. So I didn't really want to associate myself with that, and I knew that I had psychic abilities, but I don't know if I mentioned this to you in depth or detail. I also knew that I don't just have the general psychic abilities or mediumship abilities like Grandma Dora. I see a lot of things that have to do with like poltergeist activity, dark energies and entities and paranormal activities and stuff like that. So that was very apparent to me at that time in my life. Again, at the time, there were all these cool shows on TV like That's So Raven and Supernatural and those shows, but they were shows. There still weren't a lot of people. I'm not that old, you guys. Like Henry makes us sound like dinosaurs, but
I'm 900
let's
years
say in like late 90s, early 2000s. Okay, so it still wasn't like really that acceptable to come out and say, I'm psychic, guys. I do want a reading from me. But I had this friend, supervisor at one of my jobs, and she was the one who actually sat me down one day, and she was like, you have an incredible ability to help people see the truth of things that are going on in their lives, or like to give guidance of where they should actually be heading. And she said, why don't you practice giving readings to us like on our lunch breaks, and let's see if you can develop your abilities and your skills. And so I was kind of, I guess you could say, pressured to do that. But it was fun. I was teaching at the time, so most of the staff were female teachers. So it was kind of just like hanging out with your girlfriends. And I think that was a really good way for me to practice, because I was like comfortable with these girls and we were friends already. So it was not uncomfortable, But that's when I started practicing my abilities.
Let me digress a little bit and keep bookmark that, and we'll get back to that. But let me digress, because you made me think about something when you said that. You're not the first psychic that does this professionally, that says that that's kind of the way they were brought out of the broom closet, if you will, completely by accident. If somebody watching right now, if they're discovering the abilities, or they know they've had the abilities for a while, but they just don't know what to do with it, and listening to you makes them think, maybe I should offer my services also. Do you suggest start practicing with friends, family, or go straight right into reading for strangers?
Okay, and I'll answer that a little bit in reverse. Do not start giving readings to strangers if you've not practiced with anyone in general. So I think it's okay to go ahead and practice with your friends and your family. Of course, you already know things about them, so you're going to have them ask you questions that you wouldn't know the answer to. So, it might be a friend or a family member that, let's say they are they're going for a new job, and they can say, should I actually apply for this job? How is it going to benefit me? Those kinds of questions. It's okay to answer those because you wouldn't know that about their future typically, right? So I think it's absolutely a must to practice in general before you even start offering readings, especially for money. There's a lot of people out there doing that right now, and that's something that I'm absolutely passionately against. Okay, and this is also another true story. I got lots of true stories. Go to psychic development classes. I have a class that I've taught at shops and boutiques, psychic shops, bookstores, and I also teach it one-on-one on like FaceTime or Zoom, and it's called Psychic Awareness, and it's just basically goes over a lot of the general information that anyone can really benefit from, and you don't have to be a person that believes that you're super gifted or not, or you could be someone like Henry mentioned that they know there's something about them, they know that they can do this, but they just need to learn a little bit more. Psychic Awareness, I would absolutely recommend that class for you, but you can go to anywhere, go to Meetup. I don't want to plug all these people or whatever, but look up classes in your area, go to a meditation class. Even you can find people there that have similar interests to you. Generally, people that go to meditation groups, like guided meditation groups or something like that, they are usually open-minded people who have the same questions and interests as you spiritually. And that's a good way to start, mingling and kind of seeing if you can find some friends that will let you practice on them and practice on each other.
Okay, so good advice for all of you there. So again, you're an adult, no longer a child. Have you embraced that? Yeah, okay, I have these abilities. There's nothing I can do with them, or is it still kind of getting to know the abilities?
I've embraced it. It's been about 15 years now that I've really been comfortable talking about my abilities, offering them through my private practice. And like I said before, I have worked at some local psychic bookstores and done special events at boutiques and things like that for larger groups. So I'm definitely comfortable with it now. And I'm at a place where I feel I've done my due diligence as far as like not just knowing that I'm psychic, I can help you. I've gone to classes too, guys. Like I've gotten certifications for lots of things, including metaphysical healings and hypnotherapy, which I love practicing that, by the way. I just did these things so I could learn more, and I feel like I really do have something tangible to offer to clients and people that just want to know more about it. I'm not just someone coming out of the woodworks like with these cards, hey, I know how to do, I can tell you your future. There's more to it than that. I feel that there should be, and a lot of studying and doing your own studying at the library, old school, online, of course, but be careful where you're getting your info from. And also just talking to people that might be, they call them elders in like the witch community, we call them elders, but people who have walked the path for a while and they're open to spending time with you and just giving you some tips or some of their own stories, that you can listen to and say, okay, I'm like that person. Okay, yeah, confirmed. I'm special or I'm gifted like they are.
Okay, so let's take a little break. When we come back, we're going to have a little bit of fun, including, you've seen it in all the other panels, some stuff to give away. So do we have something? Does Crystal have something to give you? Maybe. We'll see. Stay right there. We will be right back.
The thermostat wars seem never-ending. However, there is a solution. Class?
Make sure you have a high-efficiency HVAC system?
Correct! That includes properly sealed ducts, an insulated attic, and an annually serviced unit.
And how do we know if your system's good to go?
Call AirPoint for a comprehensive HVAC inspection.
You might be ready for the advanced class.
Yes.
Call AirPoint to schedule your no-cost consultation today.
So we're back. Let's finish up. Let's have a little bit of fun, like I said. So let me start with this question. Are you a witch?
Wow. He just comes right out with another loaded question. Well, okay, Henry, yes, I am a witch. I am a solitary witch, which means I usually don't practice with other people, and I'm very private about my work.
Is that why? What does it mean, a solitary witch? But is that why you don't? Because you don't say it on Paranormal Perception. You don't talk about it. Not even on your Instagram when you do those lives. But is that why you don't publicly say, "Hey, I'm a witch"?
Good question. No, it's not because I'm a solid. So basically, think of the word solitary, just being alone, doing things individually by yourself. It doesn't mean that I'm not open to working with other witches or, witch. It's such a great word. Brujas or voodoo people in the community or anything like that. I like to work alone. I like to take my time and really think about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and that kind of thing. And the reason I'm kind of private or very private about it, it's not because, like I was saying earlier, back in the day, it was, unheard of to be comfortable coming out and saying that you're psychic or a witch. That's not why. I'm very comfortable to tell you guys, yes, I am a witch. But there's a lot to it for me. And I just feel like it's disrespectful to be out there online, especially giving advice to they call them baby witches, or people who are coming up and saying, oh, I want to be a witch, or I want to do that spell, or I want to learn this or that. That's great, because we all came from some place in the beginning where we had an inkling to be curious and to try things out with witchcraft, or those of us who are witches. But we also, like I said, we came from a time, as older ones, we came from a time where we had to learn. We had to go to the library, or we had to go to the bookstore and pick up an actual book and read it and ask questions. We didn't just have the luxury of going on to TikTok and seeing this person giving you a spell to do and not really even knowing where that person learned that spell or what culture did she learn that from. Is he or she a voodoo practitioner? How long have they been doing that? Are they a Mexican witch, a bruja? There's so much that goes into all this, and I just feel like a lot of practices, especially like ancient practices and historical practices and information, are very sacred practices and information, and I don't feel like it's my place or a lot of other people's places, again, to be out there sharing that with just anyone who may not decide to take that information and do something productive or good with it, or something, or be serious about their path as a witch.
As the wise medicine man once said, after all these years, what, if anything, do you still get excited? What excites you about doing readings for clients?
For clients, just doing general psychic readings, the thing that excites me the most is being able to help them, to guide them to get to a place where they can find healing or to find peace in whatever situation. Because generally speaking, when people come to me and with my experience as a reader, for the past 13 years I've had my business open, they usually have some kind of issue or problem or question that's really eating away at them, that they just like desperately need to have confirmation or some kind of solution that they can move forward with so that they can feel better. And that's what excites me about doing the readings. Every now and then I have a person, and it's just really, like they say, once in a blue moon, I'll have a person come to me and say, I just want a reading just for fun. I just want to see, like, what does my future look like, or is there anything cool going to happen to me this year, or anything bad? So, and I appreciate those clients as well, but I really enjoy doing readings for people who actually need the information to make some kind of decision or to make some kind of change in their life that's going to benefit them and put them on a better path for themselves.
When we first met, and I don't recall if you've mentioned it on Paranormal Perception or anything we've done, but I do remember a conversation we had. You mentioned paranormal psychic work. What is the difference between psychic and paranormal psychic work?
I think I maybe invented that term or label because I started calling myself a paranormal psychic. If I didn't invent that, I'm sorry to whoever's out there that made that word up. But I just decided to kind of take my abilities and my experiences to another level, or to kind of stand out from the rest, because there are so many gifted, wonderful psychic readers out there, and we do help a lot of people. But like I said earlier and before, my experiences with the paranormal really is kind of how I feel started, more so than like doing psychic readings, or discovering my psychic abilities and how to do those kind of readings for people and stuff. So, and I've had so many, you guys, so many stories that even Henry doesn't know yet that are from the paranormal realm or worlds of this stuff. So, I decided to call myself, instead of just like a psychic medium or a psychic healer or even a metaphysical healer, which those are all still things that I am, but I do like to now call myself a paranormal psychic, because that's where I really am drawn to. And my favorite work to do has been on paranormal cases that I've been called to help with.
Do you describe paranormal? What does it mean to you? Because I've said on the show, to me, paranormal doesn't automatically mean ghosts. Paranormal encompasses everything: UFOs, cryptids, metaphysical. So, I mean, when you say paranormal, what does the word paranormal mean to you?
It kind of goes back to like how passionate I feel about paranormal. And I told you before, like, it's my passion in life. It really is. And it's kind of like why I call myself Crystal's World, because it's not just like one thing. Paranormal isn't, a lot of people think of it as ghosts and demons, and yes, it definitely is that. But it's also angelic experiences and cryptids and vampires and aliens and UFOs. It's basically anything that's not normal, but we might have to come up with a new word because it's starting to become more normal, I think. But just like I said, Crystal's World, it's so paranormal, and Crystal's World, it's just like an umbrella. There's paranormal and then there's crystal. You can't just label it one thing. Underneath those umbrellas or underneath those trees are branches of different topics and different subjects and different realms and dimensions of what all this stuff really is. So that's what paranormal means to me.
So we're coming to the end, not just of this panel, but for all of OC Paracon. I know there's another one next year. We'll give you some details on that later on. We got some stories for you. Not right now. You've heard plenty of them. Keep watching. There's a little surprise in the surprise story, so stay tuned for that. Before we get out of here for today, though, talk about the magic that you use, and if you can, give give them a couple of magical tips before we leave.
Okay, well, remember how I said I generally don't give that kind of information out to just anyone, but you guys are special. You guys are here for a reason, and I know that you're interested in learning and practicing some of this stuff. So I'll give you two magical tips that any one of you can use, even if you don't think you're a witch, or you don't think you're psychic, or even if you don't want to label yourself that way or categorize yourself in that way. You can still practice these two things. One of them is never go to sleep with dirty feet. And does that sound like a magical tip to you?
I was saying, no, that sounds like a parent tip to me.
Well, guys, of course, you never want to go to sleep with dirty feet. And here's why. We channel spiritual energy through the earth. If you're an earthling, and you probably are, hopefully, we all are still, you're walking around, whether you're wearing shoes or not, all day. You're at work, you're at home, whatever you're doing, you're actually drawing up the energy through the earth, on sidewalks, on the dirt, on if you're at the beach, the sand, whatever, even in your home. You're drawing up that energy all day. So not only do your feet look dirty at the end of the day, but you've consumed a lot of energy just through the bottoms of your feet. And a lot of it can be good. It can be good energy that's going to help you go on and have a great day, or give you the courage to do something that maybe you weren't going to do before. But it also could be picking up other people's boo-boo and stuff that you don't want to hold on to that stuff. So wash your feet every night before you go to bed, and of course in the morning too. But even if you don't take a shower, just take like a baby wipe or makeup wipe and clean your feet off before you go to bed. Just, you don't only want to not get your sheets dirty, but you just want to like release all that energy away from you that you've drawn up through the whole entire day through your feet. So that's one tip that we can all use.
Well, wait, would you say, because I know we have a lot of them watching, that would especially apply to somebody that goes out on paranormal investigation?
Absolutely. We, and you guys know, a lot of us practice like saging and using herbs to clear the space, or doing meditations to ground us and things like that. But definitely think about your feet. You're standing up, most of us, are walking around, and you are drawing up that energy through the earth. So yes, if you're on a paranormal investigation, or even if you're not investigating, if you just like going to creepy places and getting creeped out, I like that. But there are some measures that you absolutely should be taking before, during, and after, and cleaning your feet would absolutely be something that you'd want to do. You don't want to bring any residual things anywhere with you after you're visiting those places.
Especially if you're going out to like a desert place or ghost town, anything, and even if you're not going there for paranormal reasons, the spirits are there. They definitely are of the earth. So yeah, that's what you're bringing home with you. You don't want it to stick or be in your bed or anything like that. So tip number 2 would be what?
Command with confidence. And again, this is a magical tip. So if you're a witch out there, or you're a baby witch and you want to practice something, command with confidence. So meaning, if you are going to try out some kind of spell, or you want to manifest something, do it with confidence, knowing that this thing, you're commanding it to happen. So don't say like, I hope that today I go out and find that pink sweater I've been looking for. I kind of hope it's there. Guess what? It's kind of maybe going to be there or maybe not, because you're saying it that way. This is a true story. I was getting ready to come over here today, and I'm looking for bobby pins and 2 like specific things, 2 bobby pins and 2 little tiny rubber bands, right? Clear ones for my hair. And I was kind of in a rush, and I'm like, okay, I need these things. I can't mess around. So I go, when I open that drawer, I'm going to have my 2 bobby pins and my 2 little rubber bands. I opened up the drawer, and they were right there, you guys. True story. And if you've seen my drawer, it's kind of impossible that those things were there, because it's full of like my flat irons and all kinds of hair extensions and crazy things. So those 2 things were right there. I needed them. And that's when I go, okay, I'm going to tell these guys, command with confidence. So you don't have to be demanding, but you can be if you're that type of witch. But anyone, even people who are not witches, you can command things to happen in your life as long as you're confident that they're going to happen for you.
Let's see, $2,000. Even with CGI, I couldn't get it to happen.
Come on, that's nothing nowadays. $2 million.
Yes, inflation. So, like I said, everybody's been doing it. Everybody's been giving away something on all their panels. Do you want to give something away to them?
I do, because I want to meet so many more of you guys, like not only from Paranormal Perception Show, but from this experience too, from this event. It's been so much fun. Henry, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. And of course, I want to give something away to you guys. So what I'd like to do is the first person who reaches out to me, should I tell them where on Instagram?
Oh, you want it on Instagram? I'm going to put it right here.
Okay, there.
Use that email.
Right there. So
Yeah.
the first person who reaches out with the correct answer to this question is going to get a text reading from me using the Halloween Oracle, which I've been talking about a lot and using a lot this spooky season already. Tis the season to be spooky. And these cards they're not really spooky. They'll give you a really good reading, or I'll give you a really good reading. And all you have to do is just say, what were the 2 magical tips that Crystal was willing to share with you guys?
If you were paying attention, it was like 2 nanoseconds ago.
So easy. I like to make things easy for you guys, and easy and fun, because you're going to learn something, or you're going to walk away, with some new information if we're having fun and if it's easy.
Yeah, and that email that you're seeing there, send them there. The answer, send it there. It's only for this weekend. It doesn't extend all through October. It's only for the OC Paracon weekend. So if you know the answer, scrub back. If you want a little refresher, get the answer, send it right here to that email that's right there. So You mentioned it a second ago. Let them know before we get out of here where they can see you and especially watch you on Paranormal Wednesdays.
Instagram is the place to be for me, guys. I know I'm a little bit old school, but hey, whatever. I am on TikTok and all that. Same crystals ____ world, 3 underscores. But Instagram is where I have been going live for the past 2 years talking about Paranormal Wednesdays. I have special guests from the community, professionals, people telling their stories. I tell a lot of mine. And again, fun and easy. I like to have fun with you guys. We do a lot of giveaways and quizzes and polls and this or that. So I really want you guys to feel included and involved in everything that I'm doing on with Paranormal Wednesdays. And who knows, maybe someday it'll be somewhere else. But for now, you can find me on Instagram.
Is that how they can reach you if they want to book you for a reading?
Absolutely. You can go ahead and send me a DM and just say, hey, I saw you on Paranormal, on Paracon, OC Paracon, or you can just go ahead and go in the link in my bio has everywhere else that you could possibly find me or send me a message.
And also, of course, every week, every Friday on Paranormal Perception, you can take a visit to Crystal's world that you can see her there. So there's Crystal Orona. You're not going to get a lot about me because most of you already know me from last year's in-person OC Paracon and from listening to the show all the time anyway. So thanks. Glad you're part of the show now, Crystal. So there's this one. We still have a couple or 3 more to go, panels. And then, like I said, the last panel you're all going to really, really enjoy. It's, well, what do we do? I know it's not Halloween right now, but it is October. 'Tis the season. What do we do on Halloween? What was the Paranormal Perception Halloween episode? What is it? We tell scary stories. A lot of you, when we announced that it was going to be virtual, said, well, I was really looking forward to sharing my story live on stage with you guys. So were we, honestly. But while you won't be able to share it, you can listen. Crystal has some. I may say some. But most of the speakers and a few surprise guests have some surprise stories. So a couple more panels to go, and then you'll get that one. What a way to finish OC Paracon. So stay right there, and you will have plenty of scary stories all for you.